Previously on String Quartet Love Affair. And look what happened. If I keep this sharp, F sharp will become major 7th of the G chord. So how cool is that? Boom. So we kept C between A minor 7 and D7. And now we kept F sharp. You see the relationships, what we start building upon what is? Excellent. Any DAW software, it's a very powerful tool. We don't care if you work with Pro Tools or Luna or Cubase or other, other music software. They provide a similar results and provide the same insight, such as individual tracks, individual instruments. We've got our violin right here, our viola. And like we said, you know, these virtual instruments, they provide us the range of the instrument, the characteristics, and etc. I love this library. The cellos, the basses. Okay. Of course, each track got its own tape, recorder, summing mixer. So this is this additional stuff. But the most important is I want you to take a look at how we manifest their existence. For example, I've got 4 separate voicings. See? Viola, violin, cello, and double bass. Okay? Each track got its own space. So this is one of the options what we can embrace. What I love about it is that I can take care of the dynamics, quantization separately, and also PAM. What PAM does, you see these buttons, this violin, it shifts slightly to the left. Viola, it's almost in the center. Cello to the right. Basses even farther to the right. The way I write for music string quartet, it's like when you go to symphonic orchestra for a concert, and you have in front of you this giant instrumentation. You can map the instruments, like the violas are sitting here, the violins over here, the cello. So I try to reproduce the feel from my chair by watching a symphonic orchestra in front of me on the stage. Excellent. Okay, so these PAM, it gives me this opportunity to basically share the stage. Every single instrument also got a specific frequencies. And sometimes, you know, it's beneficial to raise them up, sometimes eliminate them down. It helps because they exist on the same digital spectrum, right? Frequency spectrum. And our goal is to share this spectrum rather than just put them in the same basket, right, of the same vibration. See, they've got a different frequencies available to them, depending which instrument you work on. And also, we've got the additional reverb. And we've got 2 different reverbs available to us. One is, yeah, this one. And I decide how much of it my instruments will receive. Okay, they are muted right now, but we could influence. And also, we've got another reverb I can just dive to and just compare what they do to my production. Okay, so if I release the second reverb, I mean apply it into tracks. So you got the idea. Now, where's this track, this reverb, where it sits? Because it seems like I'm using one reverb for these 4 tracks. Well, that's why you have bass tracks. A reverb. This is a bass track. Summing mixer is just extra. It's not big. It just provides this analog feel to my digital spectrum. So this is just addition, but what I did on a bass track, I created a reverb plugin. And then what I did, I redirected these tracks on send button. I could just do a reverb, boom. And it's reverb. And now it's reverb there on the violin. Right now, I just added additional one, and now I will decide how much of the reverb I'm gonna apply to the track. So it allows me to kind of control the amount of effects I apply to the chain, to the specific chain. Okay, so this is one of the way to look at the string quartet. Individual tracks, and I can decide on the volume of each track and just adjustments, right? And also I can do a quantization. For example, I don't have any quantization of these tracks right now, but I could definitely grab it, quantize every single, and it's gonna reorganize them in the way I want. Just remember, we are dealing with the string quartet. Sometimes imperfections are actually could be extremely beneficial to our music composition. Another way to look at your creation is, you see, I created an additional track, which includes all those 4 parts of the harmony movement under one roof. When we listen this, okay, so this is another way of writing for string quartet, that everything is under one roof. However, the PAM, the left and right PAM, and we are losing this sense of individual control of individual tracks. For example, remember, like in violin, we shift everything to the slightly left. Well, when we record into one, we have to adopt the settings what basically this music library provides for that track. What I love about how to write a music, how to mix the music for string quartet, you see, I took care of those individual tracks. I spread them around. I copied and pasted every single track into one track. And now I love to use both at the same time. This is my technique of using the string quartet library. You see, every single library gets me a different feel. Like this is, for example, a string quartet from Contact. This is from Omnisphere. This is from Vienna as 4 voicings in one. And of course, the Vienna gives me these individual instruments we've been hearing since the beginning. Now, I love to play with this violin, viola, cello, a double bass, because we already spread them well, they sound well, and nothing is missing. We've got some reverb, and then I'm gonna select one of these other libraries of string quartet. For example, Omnisphere is just a little bit, it's more wet sounding string quartet library. So if I married this beautiful Vienna with Omnisphere, I will get a very interesting results. Let's take a listen. Now without it, just string quartet. and with. Okay, so this is one of the options. Of course, we've got other libraries as well, loaded just in case if we need a help. So this is from a string quartet from the Contact. This is very interesting, like on its own, it's okay. But when I combine it with Vienna instruments, okay, gets me to this even wilder spread, more powerful, more, without overpowering it. Like Omnisphere got a different characteristics. Let's take a listen with it. It got more lower end with it. So depending what you want, you can come up with very interesting, desirable outcomes for these. So let's just take a look. We've got 4 separate voicings. 4 separate voicings for these instruments. We know for certain that we could eliminate one of them or 2 of them and just be totally comfortable with what you hear. Why? Because every voicing represents the truth of the chords progression and harmony movement, right? And every voicing brings some flavor and some melody playfulness into each. Now, we know for certain that we could open another string quartet library from different source, from different software, and combine it together. So we just end up creating just a little bit much richer sound of the previous string quartet by doubling or tripling, right? Just be careful on the sound. Like you want to have something cohesive, something what comes from one stage, not the 3 or 4 stages. Also, we also discovered the possibility of placing these 4 voicings under one roof. And this roof looks like this. You see the 4 voicings under one roof. So I could work like this. For example, I could quantize the whole thing, organize the whole thing, and then give those individual voicings to specific instruments. So there's another option what we could work with. And of course, since they are relationships, we want to balance the volume. So the violin, when it shows up, it's not overpowered. The viola, the same thing. The cello, there's a beautiful melody cello movements. So we could manipulate the dynamics of each note and make them even more expressive. You see what we just did? In a very short period of time, we just raised the whole articulation. Just make it shine. So it's another way of looking at your music composition. If it was too much, we can always drop. And all of a sudden, you just presented a specific voicing for this specific instrument at that very moment. All right. So let's just listen the whole thing. And of course, the piano And the bass, of course, it was just an excuse to show you that we are not exercising exercises. This is the real deal, real thing, and the manifestation of it is provided. Okay, so let's just listen the whole piece once again. Voila. Okay, so this is our piece. Just remember, just be patient, explore, have fun, very important. And measuring two voicings at the same time will give you this relationships. Okay, so every single relationship is like the most precious what you can find. Once this clicks, you're unstoppable, which means you can do with it wherever you want. But however, make sure that the essence of your thoughts, essence on this, everything is in alignment, everything is perfect, there is no wrong notes, everything sounds the way you want it to sound. because you don't want to work on something what doesn't work in the first place. So I would rather create some chords progression, a structure of my melody movement, and just invite those inside melodies, right? And traveling from chord to chord in such a beautiful way, and just exchange this glorious feel of music composition, and just share it later on with all the musicians. So we really recommend it. And yeah, it could be a very powerful tool, what allows you to be inspired, involved, and it never feels like work ever again. And you won't be stressful. You will be actually inspired by everything what the music provides. Okay? All right, don't forget to kiss the frog and subscribe today. We wish you well. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Piotr Kowalczyk, and see you next time.